Hello and welcome to Lynchburg Live. I'm your host, Linda Smith. In February, Lynchburg Live covered the Mysticon Science Fiction Convention in Roanoke. The convention was a huge success and we had a wonderful time. My guests tonight are Carl Kesner and Carla Brindle, producers of Mysticon, and they're here to tell us about their upcoming convention for 2013. Welcome. Glad to see you back.
Thanks. You for having us.
Thanks for having us back, Linda.
You know, I can't believe that there's anybody who doesn't know what Mysticon is, but as we get started, you just tell the audience what it is.
Well, Mysticon is a 3-day convention that takes place the last weekend of February in Roanoke. It's a sci-fi, fantasy, pop culture convention. We have everything from a writing track with author guest of honor Orson Scott Card and youth author guest of honor Tom Engelberger. Then we have an artist track with guest of honor Larry Elmore, who is amazing. You need to take a look at his artwork that he's done for our convention if you haven't seen it. Then we have our media track, which includes an independent film festival and has as our media guest of honor Sylvester McCoy, who is the 7th Doctor in the classic Doctor Who series and is Radagast the Brown in the upcoming Hobbit movies.
That's so cool. Now tell me the exact date.
February 22nd through 24th, 2013 this year.
And how many years have you guys been doing Mysticon?
I've been involved with it since its resurrection in 2010, so 3 years now.
That's great. Now, this past year, or this year, it was a huge success. You know, we were there, we had such a good time, and you had a tremendous amount of people. Tell us about that. Why was this year so much more successful?
Well, the 2012 convention, I think, was building upon a lot of hard work and a groundwork that had been laid by the folks who worked on the 2011 convention. And we've been out promoting Mysticon a lot. We go to a lot of other conventions where we have fan tables. We send out a lot of flyers. And we do, like I said, we do a lot of promotion for the convention. And I think that things just, I hate to use the word perfect storm, but I'll use it. And I think things just came together in a fantastic way last year. And we had a great lineup of guests, and everybody had a great time. And we had a lot of great programming, which I think is the backbone of any convention. And everyone contributed to the ideas for the programming for the convention last year. And of course, our programming director did a great job with hammering out the final details and getting the program book and finalizing the programming grid.
What was your final attendance count?
I believe it was 866.
866, which, not to sound boastful, but for last year was our technical 2nd year since resurrection, and that was really impressive to pull in that number of people. People were actually surprised. We were shooting for 600, and we definitely met our goal.
I remember on Friday night, I think on Friday night you had 600 people.
We did.
Yep.
And you told me we already have 600 people, and more people, most people, a lot of people will come in on Saturday just for the day. So that really is impressive. And one of the things I thought was impressive was I ran into a reporter from the Washington Post who was there to cover the convention. Is that unusual?
I think for a convention, especially in our area of Virginia, yes, it is. And I think that there are a variety of factors that probably caught their attention, but I do know that we work with the Starship Farragut folks up in, and their home convention, I believe, is Farpoint up in Northern Virginia or Maryland. And of course, the Starship Farragut folks will be back again this year, and hopefully they'll be bringing some of the props with them, but they also have some new work that they're completing, and we're certainly looking forward to having them back. And I think that may have been part of what drew their attention to our convention.
Yeah, they're pretty great. Would you tell our audience who the Starship Farragut people are, what they do?
Well, I know that one of the folks who is involved with Starship Farragut is Michael Day, and they make their own Star Trek fan-made films. They also made an animated feature, which I thought was spectacular. And they just do fantastic work. They actually built their own set, their own Enterprise Bridge set, which I believe is in Georgia.
It's in Georgia.
And they just recently had an open house. I would have really enjoyed having an
too.
opportunity to go down and see it, but I wasn't able to make it. But it's just amazing what they've been able to do.
They actually brought their captain's chair last year. We made it our chair of honor, and it was an extremely popular attraction at the convention. People loved getting to go sit in the chair and have their photograph taken, and it was a lot of fun.
I even signed off our show. I beamed out of the chair, which I thought was really cool. All right, so was this the largest attendance last year to date?
To date. I don't expect it to remain our largest attendance after this year.
It's too early, I guess, to have any idea.
Actually,
how things are going?
Not really. We can kind of gauge at our momentum and what, not our exact numbers are going to be, but we can kind of gauge the ballpark based on our pre-registrations. And I'll tell you that so far this year, our pre-registrations are almost 50% higher than they were at the same time last year.
Yeah, and especially as she was saying for this time last year, that's a pretty amazing number. And I think that I believe also the hotel is already two-thirds sold
full,
out.
And actually it looks like the hotel is going to block off the entire hotel for Mysticon at this point because, well, we're already two-thirds full and we're still quite a ways out from our convention.
That's just fantastic. I mean, you all are really getting to be known, you know, with the bigger conventions, I think. And that's great.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And I think that, first of all, we've been very fortunate that a lot of the conventions, the larger conventions especially, and a lot of the smaller conventions have very graciously allowed us to come in and promote our convention. And we do a lot of cross-promotion. We try to help them out as well. And so we've been very lucky. And I want to thank all of them.
Something that, it's not the most important thing to ask you, but it's something I really like. You had a cake last year that was like a Cylon, for people who don't know what that is. That's sort of a robot from
Battlestar
Galactica. And the doggone cake was set up so when you walked past it, it talked to you. It also had that glowing eyes that went back and forth. And that cake was one of the things I enjoyed the most. I thought it was so cool.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that you enjoyed it. I actually made that cake. So, and my husband is my engineer, and he was the Cylon.
Oh, was he?
The cake was actually interactive. As you know, you had you interviewed the cake.
I interviewed the cake.
We had requests for a cake cutting panel ceremony, so to speak. And we had so many people show up because they wanted to see that cake cut open after having their conversations with the Cylon that they were flowing out into the hallway.
And somebody actually did take a chunk out of it the night before the convention started.
On Friday night.
On Friday night.
Sometimes people get a little overzealous, and we hope that won't happen this year. But if it does, if you just can't resist your chocolate craving, just hope that I don't know that you did it, because it makes me very upset.
Well, when I said to the cake, I understand something happened to you, the cake said, I was violated. So I thought that was so cool. Now, you probably can't answer this question, and it's too soon, but will there be a cake this year?
I think if there's not a cake, I'm going to have a lot of very unhappy people. I can tell you that it's unlikely it will be an interactive speaking cake this year, just because we may not have the man hours to have that happen this year.
Well, it's a cool concept, and I know that people have enjoyed it the last 2 years. Now tell me, how many people do you have on your staff?
Well, at this point, and this I'm just going to hazard a guess, the people that we have on staff that are directors and volunteers at this point, I guess would probably number anywhere from 25 to 30.
That would be our core staff. Now, convention weekend, we will have more volunteers. In fact, we have set up a completely new streamlined, we call it Gopher program, for the average attendees who want to volunteer, because that way they can earn their badge money back by volunteering. And these are for duties that, you know, our directors might be too busy to take care of, and we can send them running all over the con throughout the weekend. And probably convention weekend will have upwards of 60 volunteers.
It takes a lot to put together something like this. I've been down that road, and I admire you for what you do. Now, your convention seems to have a little bit of something for everybody. I mean, you've got kids
Absolutely.
programming, you've got gaming. Just sort of give us an idea of what all.
Well, that's, I think, something that we've really tried to do, is to try to make, as you said, make it something for everyone. We have gaming, we have LARPing, we have video games, we have an artist alley, we have an independent film festival. I think Carl had mentioned that before. We have quite a number of celebrity guests. We also have a lot of writers. This year we've expanded our writer track, and we've expanded our indie film festival. We have a lot of media guests that will be there, and I think I'll let Carla tell you some more about that.
Okay.
Sure. Well, actually, just to expand a little bit more on what Carl said, if you like reading, you know, if you're like me, our author track has over 60 authors. And we're going to have panels nonstop, you know, everything from world building to how did you come up with that, to just sitting down and listening to a Q&A with Orson Scott Card. Or if you've never seen Tom Engelberger live, he should not be missed. He does Origami Yoda, and he is so much fun. And then we have our artist track, which will have workshops. We're going to have drawing 101, shading 101, and then going back to the writing, we'll also have writing and plot workshops. Costuming in our media track. We have our dealer room, so that if you get a little bit tired of the panels, you can go and shop. And on Friday night, we're going to have a screening of Nosferatu with an original live score by Consortium 499. And then on Saturday night, we have our big musical extravaganza. And that's going to open with Devo Spice, move into the Gossicles, nationally known Gossicles, who are just fantastic, and then close with our favorite musical guest of honor, Bella Morte. So there is something there for you. It doesn't matter what your interests are. If you think it's a sci-fi convention, I'd never want to go to that. You're wrong. Try Mysticon.
Right.
I think that you would absolutely be proven wrong.
I mean, the costumes are there, and you're going to see people walking around in costume all weekend, but that's not the major part of the convention. That's just one part of people expressing themselves and being in a place that they can do that.
And we will have a masquerade on Saturday night too, which is a costume contest. You know, we call it the masquerade, but that is something that is a lot of fun. And the costumes, the workmanship that goes into these costumes, it's amazing. And also on Saturday night, we have our scholarship auction, which is an auction where every penny that is made at that auction goes to a local scholarship recipient. It's a merit-based award. We have submissions that are written or art pieces, and we have a jury that votes on them, and then our winner gets every dime from our scholarship auction.
And if I remember correctly, last year we awarded $1,800 to our scholarship.
Roughly.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Now the contest, people have already, the ones who are going to apply have already applied.
The deadline was December 31st, so yes.
But still, it's a wonderful opportunity, I do think. Now, do your guests, you had told me before that most of them just come gratis, that they don't expect to be paid. They come for the exposure. Is that true mostly?
Yes.
Still?
Absolutely, yes. You know, when you're at a smaller convention, and even most of the larger conventions, the conventions don't usually pay the guests. Now, as a con goer, any of you that come to Mysticon, remember this, because our guests make their money and make their weekend worthwhile by you buying their books, buying their artwork, paying for their autographs. So, you know, when you come to Mysticon or any other convention that you go to, be sure to remember that, because we want our guests to feel like, hey, this was worthwhile, so that we can continue to put on a convention that includes all these fabulous guests.
Plus, you get an opportunity while you're getting that autograph to speak personally with the guest, or with the media guest, and I think that's something that's really cool.
Well, and also at a convention like Mysticon, because it's not a 40,000 person convention,
right,
you're also likely to run into that favorite author or favorite artist or favorite media guest at the restaurant or in the hallway or in our hospitality suite. So you have more than just the autograph opportunity to sit down and say, hi, can I ask you this?
You all have brought some pictures, and I don't want to run out of time before we have an opportunity to show them. So Phil, if you'll put the pictures up on the screen, we'll get Carl and Carla to tell us what they are.
That is at the beginning of a parade last year at, it's the Grandin Road Children's Holiday Parade. And we had a big turnout of a bunch of our volunteers to come and walk in it and give lots of candy out to the kids.
That's cool.
That's the same parade.
Cool.
I believe that is a photo from the 2011 convention also. I think that's Nelson Oliver, and I believe that's Charles Cullen's Band of Doom.
It is, yeah. She is kind of a convention staple. She sits in the hallways and sings and serenades everyone as they go by, and she's really fun to just sit down and talk to and listen to her play.
That is one of our armor demonstrations, which we have these historical societies and usually like SCA members who will come to the convention, and they will give demonstrations, and they'll put their armor out for display and some of their replicas, and it's very authentic work.
For those not in the know, SCA stands for Society of Creative Anachronism.
Thank you.
That actually was the Boogie Night, so that's actually from a couple of years ago. Now, they're not going to be there this year, but Keith DeCandido actually is going to be there, and he's a member of the Boogie Nights, but he's also an amazing author. So.
That's a wonderful costume.
Yes,
right there.
And he also, they were also Klingons at one point that weekend.
Oh, that's cool.
Now that's the 2011 cake.
Yeah.
That was the captain's chair, and it had a motion sensor in it, so that when you walked up, the red alert symbol, our signal went off, and it played sound clips from the Trouble with Tribbles episode the entire weekend, and the Tribbles multiplied.
Cool. And could you eat the Tribbles?
Absolutely, they were buttercream and cake.
David Gerald.
David Gerald told me that he never imagined a Tribble to be so tasty.
Yeah, he was the guest that
He has
year,
no more
wasn't he?
trouble with Tribbles.
That's actually one of our LARPers, Justin Jeffries. He is with Strange Eons, and that's him in costume for his main character. He's one of the storytellers for Strange Eons.
And we will actually have 3 LARPs running in the hotel this year.
Cool.
LARP, for those not in the know, is live action role playing. That's a panel, and it looks like Randy Asplund
Match Game, and Brooke
Brink Stevens.
Brink Stevens, thank you.
You know, one of the things that I thought was so cool was the robotics. There was a woman walking around with a robot dog out in the hallway. I thought that was cool.
I think that's Angela Pritchett.
Actually, I think it was Michelle Capamaggio.
Oh, was
that
it
had
Michelle
the dog.
that year? Okay.
Will they be there this year?
Angela will be.
Yeah.
Angela just became a published author as well. And Darkstone Entertainment is coming back and screening a film this year again. And you can see they have the Plan 9. They did the remake.
Face
cool.
painting.
Yep.
Which is always popular at the convention.
That's one of our dealers in our vendor room. As you can see, we have so many varied dealers and vendors. We have everything from book dealers to people who do handmade items, you know, to gaming dealers as well. That is Rich Secret, and I believe that's one of our masquerade contestants.
Yes.
And Rich is our MC once again this year. He is a lot of fun.
Do you have to do anything to enter the masquerade costume? Do you have to be pre-registered or?
You can register at the convention. There is a form that you have to fill out, and you have to register and then be in the green room at the appropriate time. The form gives the rules. But I don't think you have to register extremely early.
And I think we are, at the moment, we are tossing around an idea about trying to actually have some online registration beforehand.
That's good.
So we're working out the details on that now.
I understand the dealer's room is already sold out. Is
It
that
was
true?
actually sold out in April.
Yeah,
March
it sold
or
out.
April.
It sold out quickly.
Boy, that is fast.
We have a waiting list about a mile long right now for people hoping that someone's going to cancel. The same thing happened with our Artist Alley as well.
That's wonderful.
Sherilyn Kenyon was our author guest of honor last year, and she had those really fun posters that we could have up in the hotels.
They were very nice posters.
All right, we're back. right, tell our audience, if anybody's planning to go or interested about going, about the fee, your registration fee, pre-registration.
If you pre-register, you can get an entire weekend badge for $35, and you can pre-register on our website through PayPal, or you can also print out a registration form and mail it in. If you have a group and, well, maybe we should make a decision. Maybe we should say.
Should we make it right now?
You know what? I think because
Mysticon in action.
Well, no, I'm just thinking it might be fun to extend our group registration. Yeah. Our group registration is supposed to end, has already ended, but I think because of the show that we should extend our group registration to the end of January. What do you think?
I would agree.
Okay, so we're going to allow group registration until the end of January now, just for you guys here in Lynchburg.
That's wonderful.
If you have 5 to 9 people, you can get $25 per badge, and if you have 10 or more, it's $20 per badge, and that's for the entire weekend. Once you get there, our day rates are quite a bit higher. Yeah. So if you're a student or military personnel, you can get a $25 badge, and if you're between the ages of 8 and 18,
yes,
you can get a $20 badge.
And science fiction groups, we have several here in Lynchburg.
You know, actually, we just had an Appomattox group send in a registration of about, I think, 15 people.
Good for them. That's great. All right, now I read somewhere that Star City Mystery Dinner Theater has some sort of tie-in with this coming up convention.
Well, they did a performance on Friday evening last year at the convention, and people really enjoyed it. So they said, can we come back? And we said, sure. People really had a good time, and we actually are offering a promotional rate of $50. If you buy the $50 Star City Mystery Dinner Theater package, that gives you a weekend badge and entrance to the Mystery Theater, which has a 4-course meal and a live-action performance. And apparently it's going to be a Doctor Who-themed show this year.
Yes.
All right, is that on the premises?
Yes, or, okay. Yes, it's in the hotel's restaurant.
Oh, that's great. That's such an extra fun thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've been to several Star City Mystery Dinner Theater performances myself over the past year, and I've enjoyed them all, and they are a lot of fun.
That's all right. Can you just give us a brief rundown? Saturday is usually your biggest day. Starting in the morning, what happens all day long Saturday?
Well, first of all, on Thursdays, of course, we set up the convention. Then Friday morning, we open registration. And that's when programming starts to really kick in. And we actually have, since we have so many guests, we have quite a few events, so we're actually planning to open registration early on Friday this year as opposed to last year. We've got an early event with Sylvester McCoy, but we have a lot of programming that starts rolling, and then we have a lot of panels and workshops that take place. Then we go to Saturday, and we're up early, and we open the convention, and we have a lot of demonstrations, again, workshops, panels, and I'll let Carla tell you about some of the other things that we do on Saturday.
Well, we have the workshops and the panels, like Carl said. We also will have back our match game event, which has been really, really popular. And right now we plan on Sylvester McCoy being one of our panelists for the match game. If you've never seen Sylvester live, you should maybe go to YouTube and take a look at him on the Truth or Dare panel at Dragon Cons, let's say, and you'll get an idea of how much fun he's going to be on the match game panel. Also, Carl left out on Friday night our opening ceremonies. Yes. I actually had a guest tell me, I usually skip opening ceremonies, but it sounds like you guys are going to have such a good one. I have to be there for it, because we're actually going to have a little musical performance with a couple of our musical guests and Sylvester McCoy. He plays the spoons, if you didn't know.
Oh, no, I didn't know.
So we also have a few other surprises for opening ceremonies. It's going to be a lot of fun. And on Sunday morning, there's going to be an opportunity for 30 people to buy breakfast with Sylvester McCoy.
How cool.
So in the hotel restaurant. So that'll be fun too. And Sunday we wind down, but it's still a very busy day. We have programming until around 3 o'clock on Sunday.
That's great.
And on Saturday night, one thing I want to mention too is we have quite a musical extravaganza planned on Saturday night. We have the Gothsicles, Bella Morte, and we have Devo Spice.
Right.
So that's, if you've never seen, Devo Spice is a lot of fun. The Gothsticles are fantastic, and then of course Bella Morte was at the convention last year, and they're coming back this year, and we're expecting that to just be a blast.
And Ellie Mayhem is going to be doing
Yes.
an artistic
That's
light
great.
show for their concert. And just in case you're not familiar with Devo Spice, he describes himself as the love child of Eminem and Weird Al Yankovic.
Okay. Listen, we're almost out of time, and I just want to thank you so much for coming. And my husband and I definitely are coming in February and hoping to bring some more of our people with us.
Excellent.
But you all do a wonderful job, and
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming and being a guest
Thank
on
you
our
for having
show.
us.
We thank you very much for having us. This is actually kind of the highlight leading up to Mysticon. So
Well,
thank
it
you
is
very
for
much.
me too.
And I'd just like to say very quickly that Orson Scott Card's appearance will actually mark the 30th anniversary of his first appearance at the original Mysticon conventions that we had in the 80s.
Wonderful.
Orson was a guest in 1983 along with Sumtao Susha Ritkel, and I think, and I could be wrong about this, so send the mail to mysticon.mail@gmail.com, but Orson, that I believe Mysticon 1983 was Orson's very first science fiction convention.
That's cool. All right, we'll see you in February, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show and will consider joining the fun at Mysticon in February. My next show will feature WSET's chief meteorologist, Sean Sublett, discussing our recent really unusual weather patterns. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful new year. Good night.